Okay, we are live. Yay! Let's do this introvert stream. Today's an introvert stream. We don't do main mission. We don't really do. I don't know yet, but what I mostly want to do is like increase my chiral network capacity so I can keep putting more zip line everywhere and make my life easy. Do as many deliveries as I can and get 5-star everywhere so I get all the perks. That's the goal of tonight's introvert stream. Let's go.
Bada bing, bada boo.
June 1st, 2024, a Korean YouTube channel by the name of Hell Storage. The title itself is already a bit strange. It's someone's full name, Park Ki-bum. Did you think that I wouldn't find you? It's almost like those videos on social media where someone will send in a picture of themselves at a bar, and now this YouTuber, this TikToker, will find their location based on the small details, based on the clues in the background of the photo. Have you seen those trends?
Yeah.
It feels kind of like that at first glance, but it is nothing like that because Park Ki-bum never wanted to be found, ever. He wanted to live his life in peace with his family, but not anymore. There is no way he can do that, not with this video out. The video states, Park, you worked at a restaurant called Redacted. They didn't redact it in the video, but which even Korea's Gordon Ramsay has once visited.
Then go buy
You've been
some.
living a prosperous life, earning
Hi,
money
Wolf.
and enjoying luxury while working at your aunt and uncle's restaurant. Look at this post of you and your daughter. The caption of that post reads, Daughter, don't try to become anything in life. Just live healthily by my side forever. Spend the money that I earn for you. Exercise, get beauty treatments.
Ew, what the fuck? I don't
drain
have
your
any.
dad's wallet. That's all I want. I love
I
you
don't
and
have
I love
kids.
you and
What
I
the
love
fuck?
you again. Live a life that shines brighter than jewels and is more valuable than luxury goods. My precious daughter. The picture shows for Park Ki-bum's daughter's 100th day celebration. That's when she turns 100 days old, so she's a little infant. He has stacks of 50s on the table,
Sucks to
which
be
is
you.
like having stacks of hundreds for your 100-day-old child. Around the table, there's just a ton of luxury shopping bags from brands like Chanel, Dior, all scattered around. Technically, the photo shows that this Park Ki-bum character, this person, is trying to be a good father. I mean, albeit I don't know how you feel about luxury goods for children.
It was for a 100-year-old,
Yeah.
like Chanel's and stuff for infant.
Yes, so the biggest argument is these rich people are doing too much, right?
Wait,
But the
where am I
video
right now?
continues. Now that you're married and you have a daughter, Park, there are things that you want to protect, don't you? It seems that Park Ki-bum doesn't even think about what he did in the past.
No,
And
thank
the
you.
YouTuber asked the audience the question, is it because the one who hits doesn't remember, but the one who gets hit does? After this short 3-minute YouTube video goes up, instantly that photo of Park Ki-bum's daughter, the 100-day celebration, is flooded with comments. People are commenting, I hope she gets taken away from you. I hope you can never see your own daughter again. What is your daughter gonna think of you? I can't wait till your daughter gets older and we all tell her what you did. Terrible father, scared at the idea of what kind of filth father you are to a daughter. And some of them are just uncalled for. I hope the same thing you did happens to your daughter. I mean, what are these people talking about? Why does it seem like overnight, all the Korean netizens have flocked to this random dad's Instagram page? He's not a celebrity. He's not famous. So why are people leaving these such harsh comments on this random person's picture? Because the now since taken down YouTube video said, now Park Ki-bum, who was known as the main culprit in the Miryang incident, he knocked the victim unconscious with an iron pipe and gang essayed her with 12 of his buddies. He filmed the incident to use as blackmail. This Park Ki-bum is a truly despicable person. 20 years ago, Park was the ringleader for the Miryang 44 case, where 44 high school students blackmailed, tortured, and essayed a little middle school girl for over a year straight. All 44 perpetrators were not punished without even a note on their criminal record. They are currently, in 2024, 20 years later, living anonymously as free men in this world. This YouTube video titled, "Puck, Did You Think I Wouldn't Find You?" would be the start of a string of vigilante justice YouTubers slowly releasing the protected hidden identities of the essayers involved, leaving everyone in South Korea wondering, do I know one?
Ew.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Korea Sexual Violence Relief Center. They have assisted and supported SA violence survivors through various methods, including providing over 87,000 one-on-one counseling sessions, fighting for revisions of laws, and running educational programs. They also provide legal assistance and recovery programs for survivors. Most notably, the KSVRC has aided in the recovery for the Myeryang victims. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team of dedicated translators and researchers. We would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available.
Wait a minute. He's playing. Is he playing now? Cause like I gotta see. I gotta be there. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big moment. Like, you got me to put my true crime podcast on pause. Wait a minute. Where is this food? Wait, he's playing right now? Ain't no fucking way.
Just watch her. I don't know where. Yo, I done died every time, bro. I think this is sacrifice. I don't see no hay out here. I don't see no hay. There's no hay. It should be like right outside the basement door. Yo, get that nigga up. Go get that nigga up. Oh wait, I got some. She's out. No, she's out in the back. She's out in the back. Out in the back. He out what? She's out in the front. No, where'd that goat go? He's down here still. He's gonna be down there still. We'll find him. I think she's coming through the door. Go get him. He's right here. You gotta get him up. Shit. She's chasing. She's mad. Which way is she going? Which way did she go? She go in the house. She's out the front door. She's still in the front door. Sean, you gotta get him up. She's coming in the back. Run, she run. Go. Oh! Fuck, I gotta drop the goat.
Don't drop the goat!
I didn't know she was coming to the house.
You literally can drop the goat in the fucking bowl.
Sorry, Prince.
Where did he learn to play? This is not his first time playing this game.
I'm in the back. There's a goat in the back. I know. That's the one I dropped.
Damn. I've been begging him to play this game forever, and he's playing it without me. Absolutely betrayed.
Help me up. I'm trying, nigga. Fred, I'm sorry. Where's the hay? Fudge! He's about the house. He's in the basement. Run. He's in the basement. Chase, run. Nigga, I've been running. You grab somebody. He's in the house. I just grabbed you. What do you mean grab somebody? Yeah, bro, I thought it was a man kid. We need man kids, bro. I know what we need a goat.
I'm salty.
Grab a med kit.
I'm actually salty. But at least it seems like to be having fun.
Hey Trey, bro, I'm gonna go find if I die, then like I'm coming with you. Come on. You don't know if he's on the or not right now?
What are you talking about? What was you about to do?
I was gonna go save him.
Yeah.
Are you on the med kit, Younger? Come on, bro. Come on.
Is this a med kit? Yep, I'm on a med kit. It's in the front of the house. No,
Oh!
Run, 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 run,
No,
run,
run, run,
run,
run, run! Run, run, run! No!
I mean, yeah, that's the goal.
Oh my goodness, bro. I done died like 30 million times.
The fact that he's following her is crazy.
right on the table.
Like, this is not some newbie shit.
She's there.
This is some,
I got him, I got him. We need another one. Oh, we...
nah. He's not playing like a newbie. Like, he's way better at this game than he is at Phasmophobia. I can assure you that.
I got
Alright,
a battery.
boom.
Like, look at him.
Alright, there's a goat
The
in there.
confidence.
I got this piece of hay. Hurry up. Find a
He
med
knows
kit.
what he's doing. He knows what he has to do.
Need one.
He knows where to go. This kid
Oh.
knows the deal.
Go, please.
This is the second round. How long was the first one?
Let's fucking go.
That should be 8, right? That should be 8. Should be 8, right?
Yeah,
This
I'm,
ain't his
I'm
first
back up
hurt.
to the attic.
We're just good like that.
Oh
Fuck
my
it, I'm
goodness.
lighting this. I'm lighting it. I'm
Oh my
lighting it.
goodness, Is she behind me? Is she behind me?
No. I'm lighting it. Fuck it.
Bro, there's no stage.
30 minutes.
There's no like we can
We
like.
gotta find the last goat.
You know, it's crazy because
How many goats is there?
I never completed this one. I played like the game 2 times,
Nobody went down. Nobody went down.
and I never completed this first round.
Destroying that.
Every time we get to 9,
I'm dead.
we end up all dying.
Fuck.
Damn.
I'm coming around the side. I'm coming around the side.
Phantom make it. Phantom make it. Phantom make it.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Phantom make it. We got her. Phantom
I got
make
one.
it.
I got one. I got one.
Man, one of the little ankle biters trapped me on the side. I thought I could jump across or jump over top of him.
I hear it go. I hear it go. Come here, go. Come here, go. Come here, go. Come here.
Yeah, find
Come
that
here,
goat,
goat.
boy.
Come here, go. I don't know where to go.
Sean, quit moving.
Oh shit.
I'm hearing a goat. Where's the goat at?
Please find it.
He's somewhere.
He's not a professional.
I can't see him.
Nah, he's not bad. Like,
Yeah, you hear him?
he's not bad.
Shit.
He's doing way better than me when I played this game. I can assure you that.
There's a goat in the house, like on the first floor, bro.
Got that battery.
Oh, there's a battery right there. There's a battery right there.
No, it's actually good. Like,
Where you at?
for real. Because my first time was so bad. Oh my god.
There's a goat on the first floor, bro. There's a goat. Did you grab it?
I ain't got no fucking goat. I'm just getting a open area.
John,
I'm
where you
dead.
at?
Huh?
You gotta grab John. You gotta grab John. You gotta grab John. You gotta grab John. You gotta
I'm in
grab
the
John.
attic. Don't worry about me. I'm looking for that goat.
Whoa! Whoa! Oh. Oh, okay.
Oh. Oh, John's right here. You can revive him right here. You can revive him. You can revive him. You can revive him.
Somebody find that goat, bro.
Go find the goat.
There's a
Hurry
goat on
up.
the first floor. There's a goat on the first floor.
We got hay?
I don't got no hay. I don't have hay. I don't have hay.
There's hay in the front room.
I got a battery though.
I hope they make it.
There's no way you can avoid her, bro.
Oh wait, I got some hay right
You
here.
gotta keep stunning her.
Bro, he's somewhere on the first floor, and I really I'm convinced I heard that goat
Alright,
down.
I got hay. Bro, please. I'm a professional. I think I'm the only one. Did I get gripped up this game yet?
I don't think you got good at this.
He's coming through the back door.
Shit.
I'm outside the front. I'm outside the front.
I'm right behind her, bro. I can't do anything. I'm right behind
Hold on. I got a battery. I got a battery.
He's chasing y'all. He's chasing one of y'all.
Alright, come on.
I got a battery, nigga. I got a battery, nigga. Use on the little niggas. I got a battery. Where she coming from?
Oh!
Jay, talk to me.
I don't know.
Alright, I'm going back to my stream. But, good for him. Good for him. I'ma remain salty. Yes. I am the one who told him about this game. I wanted to play with him. And he just, am I a joke to him? Don't I mean nothing? It's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying. Should have known better. I have emotion too. That's all. Like, next time he wants to play Phasmophobia, he can do it without my grade 3 equipment and my unlimited funds. How about that? How about that? Yes. Emotional damage. Yes. Me sad. He has to pay for my emotional damage. But at the end of the day, this is just a reminder that I'm a solo introvert gamer. These hoes ain't loyal. Period. Oh shit, wait, where's my podcast? I forgot about my little podcast. Tiffany Sue, come back.
RottenMangoPodcast.com. A few quick disclaimers on today's case. There are heavy mentions of CSA, CA, and just really strong language against those that have been victims of SA. I will say just overall, every detail of the case is extremely true. Please watch at your own discretion and remember to always take care of yourself. And with that being said, let's get into it. All everyone in Korea could talk about, and this is recent, the first video was uploaded in 2024. All in Korea has been talking about the past, 2 months, is this Miryang 44 case. It seemed like the whole country had been collectively angry for the past 20 years, and all of that hatred and emotion is coming to this new bubbling point with this information coming out. Perpetrators' names being released. I believe that up until this point for the past 20 years, people were kind of holding on to this hope that perhaps the perpetrators would already be arrested for other crimes. Maybe they'd be low lives, no future, no careers, no happiness, no families. But no, this is confirmation through YouTubers that they are living well and better than most citizens. Sarah, this is a fake name. Sarah was one of those people. Sarah's whole family took this news pretty hard. They're watching it unfold on YouTube. They have nothing to do with the actual case. But Sarah's youngest sibling was a victim of harassment, and the perpetrator got off with no punishment. The whole family, they just have this bad taste in their mouths. We know Sarah's story because she posts it to an online forum like Reddit in South Korea. She writes, "But my fiance's whole reaction to the thing has been very strange." To give you some background, she met her fiance 4 years ago while they were both volunteering at this organization for stray cats. They were in the process of planning their wedding, and one of the reasons that Sarah was so excited to marry this man is because he had always been so supportive of everything her family was going through, especially her younger sister. But when this Miryang 44 news breaks, he's kind of agitated by the whole thing, almost condescendingly poking fun and dogging on her family, stating, "Oh, your parents are keeping up with the newest updates because they're retired, they have nothing better to do, they have no lives, they need to get a hobby. And your youngest sister, who was also a victim of a separate crime, if she had kids and she moved on with her life, she wouldn't be so fixated on some internet drama."
Wow.
Sarah writes on the online post, "At first I questioned why he would say such things, but as his criticism intensified, I was shocked. I said, are you defending them because you're from the same hometown? I mean, maybe you have a lot of pride of being from that area and not wanting that town to appear badly on a national, perhaps even international scale? Is that what it is?" That's what she accuses him of, and he freaks out. He throws the soda that he was drinking and just shows her a side of him that she had never seen in 4 years. That's what she says. He tried to punch and kick her that night. Whoa. Sarah said she was pissed. She started screaming at him, "Oh yeah, you want to hit me? Go ahead, hit me." Her fiance ran out in anger, and Sarah was so flabbergasted, honestly, just no words. She calls her sister, tells her sister what's going on, and her sister thought, it is strange. He's from the same hometown, and he's the same age. His reaction is odd. What if, I don't know.
Guilt,
it's weird.
bitch. It's guilt.
And Yeong's not even a big city. It's not like New York City. There were, at one point, like 100,000 residents. It's a small town. The two sisters decide to confront him the next day, and Sarah's fiance admits, fine, he wasn't one of the 44 that essayed the victim, but he was part of the larger group that knew about it, and he had seen videos of the essays. He begs Sarah, but I'm not that type of person. You know me better than anyone. Please, come on. You know my family. We're all Christians. Sarah said she broke off the engagement and moved in with her sister. The whole weekend, he and his parents have been blowing up her phone trying to get her to change her mind, and she's disgusted. She's writing this because, judging by his reaction, he wants the whole world to know that he has no remorse. And these perpetrators that are being outed, they likely don't care either. They have no shame, they have no remorse, no guilt. They're just pissed. She says perpetrators never change their minds or truly repent. Sure, he may have not been one of the 44 that R-worded 14-year-old Hannah, also a fake name, but he's still a monster without remorse. 14-year-old Hannah was just discharged from the hospital. This is back in 2004. She still had bruises that were in the process of healing, scars all over the lower half of her body, and this whole laundry list of pills that she was supposed to take every single day. She's not feeling good. She needs rest. She's deep in sleep when she hears this rustling next to her, shuffling. She's groggy. She opens up her eyes, and there is this middle-aged woman kneeling next to her, waiting for her to wake up. When Hannah makes eye contact with this woman starts sobbing. She has never seen a woman in her life. Who the hell is this woman? It's not her mom. It's not her aunt. She doesn't know this person. Hannah calls for her dad. This middle-aged woman is on her knees just crying, inching closer and closer. Hannah, don't you feel sorry for your oppa? Oppa means big brother in Korean, but it can be applied to anybody, so it doesn't have to be a relative. It could be applied to somebody who is a few months old or a few years older than you at the same school. Don't you feel bad for your oppa? Even just that statement, your oppa, you're symbolizing a very close relationship. For being in detention, look, sign this petition to get him out sooner, and Hannah, I'll let you marry him. We can arrange for it when he gets out. Hannah didn't know what to say, because sitting in front of Hannah is the mother of a high school boy, the mother of one of Hannah's 44 R-worders. She's offering Hannah the, quote, chance to marry her R-worder.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Crazy request.
A few months prior to that, Hannah was sitting in front of the police officer, watching him flick off another piece of ash from his cigarette onto the ashtray. The whole room practically felt thick with the smoke. 5 packs of cigarettes in 8 hours. The smell, the smoke, the nauseating questions, it was a lot for Hannah. By the way, this is all from Hannah's recent interviews that she did, where she is still anonymous. She said she had to put up with this for 8 to 10 hours per day for the past 8 days of nonstop questioning. She's 14. Tell me again how it all happened exactly. Start from the top one more time. It started a year ago when she was 13. Was about to slam the phone down. She's at home on the phone, and she's about to turn it off when a voice on the other line is like, wait. She was trying to call a friend of hers, but she misdialed the phone number by just one number. And this random guy picks up, and he sounds about her age. He has a very young voice. Wait. And they try to make small talk and telling her, your voice is pretty, and he's a high schooler from Myeong, which is about an hour away. He sounds very normal. Honestly, nothing special or standout. But he asks her to hop into the online chat room that he's in so that they can talk more and just hang out. It's not even a one-on-one online chat room. It's a big group chat where a bunch of random high schoolers from all these different towns gather together. They talk about what's going on in their town. It's nothing spectacular. So for 6 months, on and off, Hannah would just hop on, talk to this boy, and he's an 18-year-old named Pak Gibang.
Real name.
Now, The guys keep encouraging Hannah to meet up, or at least meet once, right? And South Korea is pretty small. So if you live in a different city, it's not like the US where, oh, I meet an online friend, they're from Wisconsin, they're from Denver, Colorado. It would have to take so much out of me to go meet them from the East Coast. South Korea, it's very casual to meet up with online friends.
And then there's a lot of public transportation, so
yes,
that's easy.
And like this is nothing new or crazy. No one's running away to a different town to meet someone in private. You just hop on a bus and you go meet them after school. Hannah says, we were young. We never met up with boys before. We had never been out of our town of Ulsan before. So we were a little reluctant, but we decided, let's just go see their faces, talk, maybe eat, and come back.
Who is we?
So Hannah has a little sister that's 1 year younger. She was also in the chat rooms. I believe they were sharing one computer though. So I don't know if they had 2 different accounts or if they were just kind of all hanging out together. So the 2 of them, Hannah and her little sister, they take this bus to Miryang and they thought they would mainly be seeing Pak that day. But instead, they're greeted not just by Pak, but with a few of his friends too, just waiting.
And this is 6 months into talking.
Yes.
Okay. And
So they know a lot about each other.
yeah, and
and-
also they're 18, they're above of age, they're, they
Yeah.
definitely
The
have
power
a lot more
dynamic is not the
influence on
same.
girls.
Truly, even when they get off the bus and they see Pak's friends, nothing about them give off any terrifying energy. They all just seem like regular high school guys.
Oh my God.
Just people you would see in the hallways, just older seniors maybe. But the police, they're stuck on this one detail. They keep asking, so you went to go play with them? The police are asking Hannah, which this is a big part of the case later. The
She's
word
fucking
play gets brought up
14.
a lot in reference to Hannah just one time going out to meet and hang out with a guy. The word play is going to have a dramatic effect
13
in the court
at the
proceedings.
time.
Hannah explains, I wouldn't say play, I just went to go hang out with them. The connotation of the word play is a little bit strange. She's trying to clarify, no, I was just mainly hanging out with them. I guess you could say play, but I hung out with them. I mean, we had bonded for months online. She went to Miryang and started hanging out. But then she got stranded that night. At the time, all buses leading out of Miryang ended at 4 o'clock. The sisters did not know this. Nobody told them this, but now they're stranded in Miryang. The sisters didn't even know Miryang was that small of a town. At that point, it was pretty rural of an area. They just assumed, like Ulsan, their hometown, the transportation is going to run all day and night. That's what they think. One of the guys turns to the sisters. Well, we could just pay for a room for you here. It's fine. You can sleep here and go back tomorrow. I mean, what else could you do? It's not like we can drive you back home.
How many people was there?
There's a handful, but eventually that night there will be 12. The sisters are honestly pretty thankful. They thought the older brothers were acting like older brothers, being very nice and helpful. It would be in that motel that Hannah would be gang R-worded by 12 different high schoolers that night. She was slapped, beaten with wooden sticks, with iron pipes. It's stated that the very first night, 12 of them came in and they recorded the whole thing. The footage would be held as blackmail to make Hannah do whatever they wanted from then on. At the end, all she had was $15 for the bus fare back, and they stole that too. So they R-worded her, gang R-worded her all night, and then at the very end, they stole $15 from her.
What about the little sister?
She was actually not R-worded. So in the initial reports given by police to the press, which is why for 20 years most people thought that her sister was also R-worded, she actually was not. And we're going to get into it. It's a whole thing. Now, to go over all of this, to repeat all of this information, to relive this trauma was very overwhelming for Hannah. But to make matters worse, the police officer taking in this information is now typing it down into his reports, but he is doing this at snail speed. She would have to pause every 2 seconds so that he could catch up. She had to live through this trauma not just once, repeat it over and over to her aunt, to the officers, 3 separate times, to 3 separate male officers, and finally, the officer that's typing it into the reports, he would directly narrate the events again while typing. They took Hannah to the motel that night, and 12 high school-aged guys, perpetrators, assaulted her with iron pipes. He just would slowly narrate everything over and over again. Now,
And this is shared by Hannah.
yes,
Hannah was expressing how traumatizing that whole experience was.
I believe this part was shared by her sister. They were interviewed together, but her sister was also in the room when Hannah was giving her statements. And that was also a big misconception that practically everyone had about this case, was the fact that Hannah's sister and cousin were also essayed by the perpetrators, that the perpetrators had forced Hannah to bring her sister and cousin to be victims as well, right? The reason that everyone, including myself, believed this was because the police told the media this. Initially, that's what they said, that all three girls were essayed, but it has since been disproven. Hannah's sister was beaten and robbed and never essayed, and the cousin was actually on the perpetrator's side. She was dating a perpetrator. What? So Hannah's little sister was with Hannah the whole time, and she's testifying and giving her statement as a witness to these events now. And on one occasion, one of the defense attorneys for the perpetrators, who happens to be in the room while she's giving a statement, he turns to the little girl, the witness, and says, wait, why do you think you weren't essayed? Is it because you're fat?
That's to the little sister?
Yes. And the perpetrators, who also happened to be in the room, tell me why, they couldn't hold it in. And she said that they just started busting out laughing and snickering at her. And she nodded because they had told her that. While her sister was getting gang essayed and she was trying to look for any ways to save her sister, they told her, you're not going to get essayed because you're too fat and we don't like the way you look. The police wanted to know why the torture and assaults lasted a full year. Why didn't you say anything? Did they hold you captive? Did they kidnap you for a year? Hannah tries to explain that they had videos of her that were, you know, she's getting essayed and they're threatening to disperse it online if she didn't do exactly as what they said. The first time the perpetrators called her when she's home, they're like, we need to meet up. She told them, no, I don't want to. But then her home phone started ringing while her dad was home. She picks it up. It's the perpetrators. See how easy it is for me to tell your dad everything? You think I don't know the number for your school or for your friends? We have your home number. We have your address. We have these videos of you. They had everything to ruin her life instantly unless she did exactly as she's told. She said, I was scared. I kept going to Miryang because I was scared. People say, why did you go? Why didn't you report it? But if I had a phone and didn't answer, the perpetrators would call our house and my dad would answer. And then they would just hang up, or they would say, this is so-and-so. Is this Hannah's house? My dad would say, yes, who is this? And they would just hang up, and my dad would get angry, screaming, what are you doing? Who are you hanging out with to receive calls like this? And then I would be the target of violence. My dad would beat me. If Hannah tries to call the perpetrators back, begging them to stop calling, please just stop anything else, they would just giggle and laugh. Then come to Miryang. Then I won't call and tell your dad. Other times they were more aggressive, saying things like, you have a few hours to get to Miryang, otherwise we're going to post your videos all over your school bulletin boards. Everyone's going to know what you did.
And this is all coming from Pac.
And his friends. All of his friends get involved.
What
so she
the fuck?
went. She didn't know that some of these videos had already been posted online on shady websites with views coming in from Japan, China, and the United States, as well as South Korea, obviously. Each time Hannah was forced to meet up with them, just groups of 3 to 24 high school guys would drag her to dark areas, motel rooms, tennis courts, abandoned attics, playgrounds. It's stated that the perpetrators also used various objects to further humiliate and torture Hannah sexually, which would end up causing a lot of complications for Hannah in her reproductive regions. It's stated that once Hannah argued, my aunt is going to take me to the hospital and they always do full checks even down there, so arguing they shouldn't R-word her, trying to give them a selfish reason on why they shouldn't hurt her, right? But instead they just shrugged, let's try anyway. They would push her forcibly onto the ground, essay her. They would hold up an iron pipe threatening to hit her with it, and if she tried to fight back, they would hit her. They would threaten her to take off all her clothes. Sometimes a few guys would hold her down, her arms and legs, while their buddies take turns essaying her. Other times she's punched repeatedly in the face. Other times she had brutal assaults at tennis courts where afterwards she would get up and start running away and they would scream after her, you look like a little flea trying to buzz away. They would force her into performing degrading sexual acts while they all watched and essayed her. And every single time that she was forced to show up in Miryang, she had to bring her bus fare because how else are you supposed to go back home? She lives an hour away. These perpetrators would steal that too. They would leave her completely stranded with nothing each time. If she had any jewelry on or just anything that they liked, they would get robbed of that. There are 44 main perpetrators, but the number of witnesses, bystanders, and those who knew what was happening was likely closer to 120. Now, the craziest part is, similar to the Junko case, the girlfriends of some of the perpetrators, they find out what's going on. Instead of immediately reporting their boyfriends, calling the police, being disgusted, breaking up with them, they would help record the assault while taunting Hannah. The police have been listening to Hannah and her sister, telling them for 10 hours a day for the past 10 days the extent of trauma for the past year of Hannah's life. The fact that she's been talking for that long and that her statement is still ongoing is still just another indicator of how bad the abuse was. But the police, they finally look up from their computers and they ask, "Did you wag your tail first? Did you resist with all your might? Did you make it clear to the other person that you had no intention of intercourse with them? Did you resist like a madman? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. If you didn't like it at all, why did you keep going back to Miryang?"
Wow.
Hannah said for the longest time she regretted letting her aunt get the police involved. So for the year that all of this had been happening, Hannah never told anyone. She didn't have anyone to tell except for her sister, and they both had nobody. A year before that, before all of this abuse, Hannah's mom actually left the house. That would have been maybe the only person Hannah felt comfortable telling this to. And it's not like Hannah's mom wanted to leave. She had to stay alive. Hannah's dad is an incredibly violent, alcoholic, abusive man, and somehow the courts awarded him full custody over their 3 children. So their mom wasn't even allowed to see them without his approval, which, I mean, you would imagine he's never going to give. Hannah says, "At first my mom was beaten, but when she left, after that, I became the target and got beaten a lot from then on. I had no one to talk to. My dad was always drunk, and when he was sober, he was extremely sensitive. If I tried to talk to him, he would just start cursing. My mom was someone I would meet occasionally, and we just had nobody to lean on or talk to. Their father would even say, 'When I don't drink at all. But when I do, I keep drinking for a few days.' Neighbors say that's not really accurate. You just could not have a coherent conversation with that man. Like, you just never knew what he was talking about. He never knew what you were talking about. He's abusive. He's incapable of putting food on the table for his children. He's a horrible person." So Hannah's sole guardian is her dad, and he just verbally and physically abuses her. She has nobody that she can trust. She's completely alone. He didn't even care that she's getting beat with an iron pipe and wooden sticks. She's gonna have injuries when she comes home, and he doesn't even care. I don't even know if he notices. It's not until about a year in that Hannah's mom's sister, so her aunt from her mom's side, comes to visit, and right off the bat, she's like, "Something's wrong with these girls. Something's wrong with my nieces." She sits down with Hannah. "It's okay. You need to just tell me honestly what's been going on. Is it your dad? What's going on?" She could already tell what was happening. I mean, to a small degree. She just reassured Hannah, "I can make an appointment and we can go to the hospital tomorrow." November 25th, 2004. After 11 months of torture, abuse, blackmail, essay, the police are finally called. And the police reassure Hannah's aunt, "Trust us. The details aren't going to hit the media. It's not going to affect the girls at their schools. It's not like it's our first time investigating a crime like this." Just 12 days after that, the police release a quick press conference stating that 40-something high school male students had gang essayed 3 girls, including 2 middle school sisters, for a year straight. So this is where the decades-long misinformation that Hannah's little sister was also essayed starts. The initial press conference also stated that the 2 sisters were essayed by 41 different high school boys in one day. Like 41 had taken turns on both of them is pretty much how they phrase it, which is really vile. But that's not true either. Now, all the major news networks report on this because, I mean, that's what the police told them. Why would they think it's not true? But the biggest problem with the police press conference is they release the victims' full names to the media, which honestly should have been redacted from the get-go. So if we file an FOIA in the United States, if there's privileged information, it's all redacted. They're not going to give it to you and hope that you redact it. Most media outlets did redact it themselves, but some, in quote, a rush to break the news, just published the personal information as is. Or they redacted it, but in a way that everybody in the town that knew the girls, they knew who they were. They gave out neighborhood, age, surname, and said 2 sisters in middle school. It's pretty obvious who the sisters are. Hannah says, "My surname isn't very common. People around me instantly knew it was me because our neighborhood isn't as big as Seoul. When we went to school, the kids around me started looking at me as if they knew something had happened. And when I quietly went to the teacher's office, the teacher just said, 'I know.' All the police cared about was appearing like they were the ones that cracked this massive case. They wanted the world to know the police had arrested 44 perpetrators. They had rounded them up in a police bus and caught them immediately. The police also made it appear by blatantly stating that the 44 youths were part of an organized youth gang called Miryang Union. They said it's comprised of middle schoolers, high schoolers in this amateur organized crime, which, sure, they might be, but not the way that the police are presenting. The police are presenting them as if they're part of this massive organized crime syndicate that the police just took down. Hannah even said, they're honestly more like school bullies. They're violent, they're terrifying, capable of dangerous things. They beat up other students, rob them for no reason, but they're not they're not the mafia. But that doesn't sound as good, right? Taking down 44 school bullies, taking down 44 gang members. That's good. Later, when criticized about letting the victims' information out so easily, one former police official working the case said, "We didn't know at the time how big this case was going to be. We just thought, well, the reporters will handle it properly. To be honest, we thought if it's such a big case, the reporters will change the names. Reporters always change the names, don't they?" The police honestly just did not care. They wanted to be applauded for their tremendous arrest. It also came out that the investigating officers were up for a promotion. They just needed a big case, a big pat on the back to make it happen. This is their big case. They don't care about the victims. They just want everyone to applaud them for arresting 44 gang members. Hannah said she thought, why did we report this to the police for no reason and make our lives so difficult? Hannah's aunt would later be interviewed and she screams, how could they do this to our kids? They're killing our kids twice. They might as well have told the girls to just leave Korea altogether.
Pretty much.
Soon after the headlines of the Miryang cases posted, all everyone can write about, talk about online is the Miryang case. Everybody knows about it. An online forum post starts making its rounds around that time. It's written by a hostess from a hostess club who witnessed something so alarming, vile, disgusting that she can't even keep it in anymore. She wants to throw up. It's not like she can go to the police with this information, so she's coming online. She said she was working at the hostess bar one night. She passed by this table. She recognized the police officer as the ones that were working the Miryang case because their faces and names are everywhere right now, and this is all anyone can talk about. She was pausing and doing some work at that table, and she watches one of the detectives put his hand on the thigh of the hostess that he's sitting next to. So right now, it's very morally gray, right? But not that alarming. But he leans in and he tells this hostess, you look like Hannah, the victim of the case we're working on. With his hand on her thigh.
Way.
It gets worse. The hostess said she froze. She didn't even know how to react. She couldn't believe her ears in that moment. She said, what do you mean? Another detective sits next to him and looks disgusted. So she's thinking, good, he's going to say something and shut down this detective, shut his colleague up. But he turns his head and says, don't bring Hannah up. Disgusting. You're going to ruin my appetite. He's not saying, hey, you are disgusting for bringing Hannah up right now. He's saying the mention of Hannah's name is disgusting, and I'm trying to enjoy myself. He says, you're ruining my appetite. The further implication being, he's disgusted not by what happened to her, but by her.
This is crazy.
The further implication being, he's disgusted that a little 14-year-old girl had been essayed by 44 different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the first one was sexualizing
the victim, basically.
the victim.
Yes.
Yeah. A 14-year-old girl that has been like, this is crazy.
Yeah. So she posts this, and this has been proven to be true. These detectives were eventually replaced by another investigative team, but really nothing gets better. Even when Hannah is forced to come to the police station to give yet another statement where the police just blow cigarette smoke into her face for hours at a time, forcing her to repeat the same traumatizing statements and then asking her if she wagged her tail first. These are just a few things that went wrong during the investigation. Just a few violations of human rights. Hannah would come and all the perpetrators' parents would be waiting outside the police station for her, grabbing at her shirt while she's trying to get inside, screaming at her that she's ruining their sons' lives. Parents are tracking down Hannah to her house, her relative's house afterwards, accusing her of lying, accusing her of wanting to take down their precious babies. This little 14-year-old girl, they would look her dead in the eye and tell her, you will never live well. Let's see how you survive after ruining my son's life. We will never leave you alone. One of the perpetrators' mothers even came and called Hannah a gold digger. Additionally, when victims have to do a police lineup, there's usually a room with a one-way glass window. We've seen it on all the documentaries, the movies, the TV shows, where the victim can see all the people lined up, but they cannot see the victim through the glass. The police station Hannah went to had one of those rooms. They called it the crime identification room, but it could only fit 8 perpetrators at once. So they opted to just not use it at all. They just rounded up all the accused perpetrators in the police station out in the open, dragged Hannah in front of them all at once, and made her ID the perpetrators. The police would just yell at her, "Who did the beating? Just point out which one did the beating. Okay, and who did this part right here where you said that they touched this area? Who did this very graphic detail you told us? Who watched? Who touched? Come on, hurry, point them out." They would force her to point at the perpetrator in question, and then the perpetrators would essentially try to lunge at her, screaming, "When the f did I ever do that?" The perpetrators are just straight up cursing her out at the police station, and the police are doing nothing to stop it. I mean, they're giving the half-ass, "Calm down, sit down."
Honestly, these someone need to leak these police officers' name.
They are getting leaked, but
Okay,
they
good.
don't care. Yeah.
That is crazy.
They still have their jobs. They don't care. They're retired. The perpetrators would even find Hannah's aunt's house, show up at the door screaming, "Do you know who I am? I'm a gang member. I'm going to gouge your eyes out." Whenever Hannah got scared and she hesitated, the authorities would get impatient with her. "Come on, quickly, just say it." But at the same time, she's being rushed. She knows that if she makes even the smallest mistake or says something incorrectly because she's being rushed, they would accuse her of lying about the whole thing. Additionally, the police's way of getting the victim justice was to force all 44 perpetrators on their knees in the police station and force them to apologize to Hannah, which that's more terrifying and traumatizing than it is cathartic. Like, that's not even a real apology, first of all. I think the terror of just seeing them all collectively in one big group forced to do something that they clearly don't want to do, and the fear of their retaliation is likely overpowering. And I also don't think that their half-assed forced sorry is doing anything. This is something I think Korean parents make you do if you accidentally call someone an ugly duckling. I don't know. Like, this is so bizarre. This is not...
Yeah.
Who
cares about that?
It's...
We want to see some real consequences.
They're treating it as if it's a playground dispute.
Exactly.
The perpetrators even accused the police of targeting them just because they have tattoos. They stated that they were being discriminated against.
Who is?
The perpetrators. The
Because they have
R-worders.
tattoos.
Yeah, they're like, "You just are accusing me of being a gang member because I have a tattoo. This is discrimination, and I won't stand for it." For some of the perpetrators, the police even asked the victim to sit down in front of them and go through her story again of what happened, as if they're trying to get both sides, both stories at the same time. The police also made the whole case about gangs. They kept arguing about the perpetrators, which gangs they're a part of, or which district the gangs formed in. At one point, this case became more so of, are the guys in a gang or not, rather than the actual crime. The sister's aunt demanded female investigators to handle the case, or at least be the ones to take the girl's statements, but the police did not care and rejected her request. In fact, at one point, so much media attention had been gathering outside of the police station because the police leaked the whole case. The authorities wanted Hannah and her sister to be questioned inside of a motel room. A motel room, like where the assaults first started. Even if it didn't start in a motel room, that is crazy. The aunt fought back. She's screaming at the officers, "How can you even interview minors at a motel?" Eventually, they would be interviewed at the aunt's house, but that suggestion itself is out of this world. One officer even looked at Hannah and her sister and said, You're muddying the waters of Miryang, you know that? I'm from Miryang. Why are you doing this? Why are you giving my town a bad name? You're not even from here, so why'd you even go to Miryang? Why'd you even meet up with them? I bet you were flirting with them online anyway. After all of this, Hannah is hospitalized for a full month for extensive physical injuries as well as psychological. During her hospital stay, she mentioned to her psychologist that every single time she's at a subway station, she just wants to jump. It's an overwhelming feeling. She can't even look at a train without every voice in her head telling her to do it. She has PTSD, panic disorders, and eating disorders, severe depression. She's so confused on how something like this could happen that her brain is trying to rationalize it by convincing herself that she must have done something wrong in the process. because things like this just shouldn't happen. So she should be at fault, is what her brain is trying to convince her.
Oh my god.
The doctor also reports that Hannah just talked a lot about not wanting to be here. She was constantly crying and spoke heavily about wanting to do dangerous things. And eventually, after a month, her dad comes in to pick her up. Her dad and her other aunt. So not the one that called the police. That's her mom's sister. This is her dad's sister. She and her dad show up at the hospital, and they're trying to take Hannah home. They're rubbing her shoulders, telling the doctors that they're going to take care of her. If anyone can help her heal, it's going to be them. She needs to be at home to recover. Hannah's mom's fighting to keep her daughters, but technically she's not their legal guardian. She could not stop their father from taking them. The moment that Hannah gets in that car, her dad is shoving a pen in her hand. Just sign it. Sign what? She reads this paper. The statement reads, I, the victim, first met, insert name of our worder, and the other oppas in Miryang. While it is true that he inflicted harm on me, the victim, I have been sufficiently compensated mentally and materially for the harm inflicted by the perpetrator. I, the victim, do not wish for the perpetrators to be punished, and I request the judge's leniency for the perpetrators to be released as soon as possible. The statement also reads that Hannah has a crush on the perpetrator in question and, quote, I'm worried about him and I miss him and I would like to see him soon.
You're shitting me. Did that literally sold her out?
While she was in the hospital for a month, the perpetrator's parents came to the dad and he was arranging deals.
This is insane.
He said, you give me cash and I'll have my daughter write a letter of leniency. One of the other reasons that her dad could convince her to sign the document, other than the fact that he has literally been physically violent with her for most of her life and she's terrified and she's in a weakened psychological state, is the fact that he's her guardian. I mean, technically, he could basically sign it for her. But he tries to convince her, listen, they really are remorseful. While you were in the hospital, they have been crying nonstop, just apologizing. And he convinces Hannah to sign for some of the perpetrators because those are the ones that paid him. Now, when these guys, these perpetrators, the ones that she signed the letter of leniency for, they come to apologize, Hannah said it's not what she expected. She genuinely thought that they felt remorse and they realized their actions were bad. But no, they were smirking, they were laughing. And she said, quote, I was really dumbfounded and shocked. Even after all of this, her dad forced her to go see one of the perpetrators at the detention center. She had no idea where she was being taken. The adults just told her to get in the car and that's it. Yeah.
So the dad just kind of kidnapped her.
Yes.
To see one of the guys.
Yes.
For what reasons?
So that she could write another letter, and his attorney was there and they were dictating what letter to write. So she just was forced to write whatever they were barking at her. And I think they wanted the proof that she went to go visit him. Now, 44 of them were, I don't want to say taken to trial because it's not necessarily a trial, but 44 of them were arrested for the Miryang case. And the way that the whole justice system plays out with the 44 is out of this world. First of all, there were like 3 presiding judges that were handling this case. One of the judges had this age-old argument, which is, well, you can't thread a moving needle. That was a quote that he says often, which means if a victim of essay is moving too much and is running away with all her might, you can't thread a moving needle.
Okay.
Like you cannot get essayed.
Yeah, if you're moving and fighting back.
So the judge is saying that it's her fault. Like
Yeah.
she wanted this to happen.
Yes, like it's not essay because you can't thread a moving needle. There's no such thing as essay then. This is a judge. Yeah. Now, in the investigative reports that were handed over to the judge to read, a lot of the times when referring to the victim and her story, you read phrases like, she came to play. The victims were playing with the accused while playing. Now, the word play sounds really, in English, sounds like something that you would only apply to children, right? You know, while the children were playing, ABC happened. But in Korean, it's a bit complicated. So let's say I'm going to hang out with my friends. I would say, 엄마, like, 애들이랑 놀고 올게, which means I'm going to go play with the kids. It's like, that's the direct translation. But it basically means I'm going to go hang out with my friends. But you almost say it in an innocent way. Because the word play in this connotation of like, 엄마, I'm going to go play with my friends is almost like, we're just literally going to giggle gaggle around. It's not like I'm going to go to the movies, I'm going on a trip. It's like, we're just going to like mess around. We're just going to hang out, right? But play can also be used very negatively when it's referring to other children, or in situations of like, you might have fuck boys being like, 놀자, which is like, come on, let's play. Right? So it can be used in different connotations.
Yeah.
Also, there is something called 노는 애들, which is a very bad word. It's not a curse word, but it's what parents will say about other people's children, which means kids who only play. And in that connotation, the word play is not just like kids who like their friends too much. It's kids who are drunk at PC bangs, smoking cigarettes.
The real fix require where you can still stay forever and you manage your stamina. Another compliment is being how to unlock the oxygen mask by connecting the path onto the UCA. Okay. The paleontal. Oh, okay. Got it. So I can do that right now.
That are basically gangsters. So there's a lot of different connotations you use, but the only time it's really positive is honestly when it's between mom and children, or like dad and children. Like, 애들이랑 놀고 올게, 놀다 올게. Like, I'm gonna go play and hang out and I'll be back. But when you use it for other people, it can be considered a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But it's nonstop. The victim came to play with the accused. While playing, the victim wanted to play with the accused. She came to Miryang to play. A lot of Koreans have pointed out how damaging that is to have in investigative reports about SA. The victim also expressed that the connotation behind the word just felt wrong. She said it felt like they're implying some sort of hidden meaning behind it. For example, the victim told authorities, the perpetrators filmed a video and threatened me over the phone saying if I didn't come down to Miryang right now, they'll upload the video online. In the court document, it reads, the victim came to play in Miryang. In addition to the weird meaning of play here, the omitting of the circumstances and fear of the situation is so bizarre. The documents also include the words sexual intercourse frequently when it should be essay.
Literally.
And just everything. The victim is really only brought up in the context of the crime. There's no mention of how this is going to impact her future or what her life is going to be like now that she's become a victim of a prolonged, violent, traumatic crime. But in reference to the perpetrators, they are often spoken about with their futures connected in the same sentence, such as the perpetrators are about to enter college. The perpetrator is about to get a job. The perpetrator is doing A, B, and C for their future. The perpetrator's futures are heavily weighed and the victim just went to play. Like, that's what it feels like. Initially, the police sent 44 perpetrators to the prosecution for charges of gang SA, assault, and threats, which would be categorized in South Korea as SA with special conditions, which is threat and assault. But 34 of the 44 were not prosecuted. The prosecutors get it, and they're like, let's throw out 34 of these cases.
Why?
Okay, so 20 of those 34 were released because either their parents had paid Hannah's dad blood money or they were found to not have used force to essay Hannah, meaning they essayed Hannah, but they weren't holding an iron pipe. They essayed Hannah, but they didn't beat her. They deemed it would not be considered special conditions, so they were just let go. That part is crazy. Well, I mean, it's already crazy that they were let go for no special conditions, but also the part is even more frustrating. Yeah, maybe they themselves weren't holding a pipe forcibly beating Hannah, but their best friend was in the room holding a pipe. Their best friend was right outside the room holding a pipe. The implication being, it doesn't matter. If Hannah says no, if she tries to fight back hard enough, she's gonna get hit with the pipe. For those reasons, about 20 perpetrators are just sent home with a firm warning. Some of them got community service, but nothing to report back on. That leaves 14. Now, 13 of them are not tried because in South Korea back then, the crime of SA was considered a civil matter, meaning the victim had to press charges for someone to be taken to court for SA. But that means the burden of proof, everything relies heavily on the victim, and that's already so bad. But it gets worse. Hannah had said about some perpetrators, she used the language, quote, blank so-and-so harmed me at this time. The police stated that is a statement of fact, not an accusation, meaning she does not want to press charges on this person.
What?
What? Anybody who hears this, they see how fucked up this is. Why is everyone arguing against her? From the judge to the police to everyone. Do you think they have power, they have influence, or...
Yes. So I think it's a combination of everything. And that's what a lot of netizens think. Some of the perpetrators' parents were wealthy. Now, to disrupt 44 families in a small town, and these perpetrators' parents are nasty. They're vile. I haven't seen a single one that's like, you know what? I fucked up raising my kid and I am going to hell for it and I will repay the victim back with my life and I will try so hard. Not a single one. So I think they were putting a lot of pressure on the police. Miryang, the city of Miryang also kind of wanted it to quiet down. They wanted that instant boost of like, we arrested so many people. And then afterwards they're like, okay, this is making our town look bad. We got to shut this down. And I also think that a lot of these people are just old men who truly believe that women deserve to be essayed. I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't even know how to rationalize their thought process. And I think that they just care so much about these losers' futures, much of their futures.
Right, I see. It's another could you let one girl ruin all these young boys' futures?
Yeah.
When it's like, okay, yeah, we can already point out everything wrong with that, but people clearly think like that. These people do. Yeah. And another thing that Korean netizens have been pointing out is this is just the same thing over and over again. Korea is a great land for perpetrators. They care too much about the rehabilitation, the future of perpetrators. It doesn't make sense. Now, Han had used the language, blank harmed me at that time. The police and prosecutors argued that is a statement of fact, not an accusation. So they believe that Hannah did not want to press charges. They stated that she should have said, I want them to be punished for this. Or I really, really didn't like that. Like, they wanted her to vocalize word for word verbatim. She wanted to press charges. So for that reason, 13 cases are thrown out because her wording. They stipulated that the victim did not directly express to press charges against those perpetrators when discussing what they did. This has changed since then. Now SA is a criminal case. Now, the last one is not prosecuted because he committed a crime in a different region. He was going to be punished there for that specific crime. This is crazy. So does that mean if you run a red light in one county and commit murder in the other, you don't get charged for murder? You just have to go get your punishment for running that red light?
Apparently.
Yeah, they're just like, well, he's already going for a different case, so it's fine. That doesn't even make sense. Like, what is this? A buy one, get one for crime? What do you mean? The other 10 that are sent to juvenile court, they don't receive any punishment. They just get sent to juvenile court and they just get slaps on the wrists. They get community service. They don't do anything, essentially.
Go to prison.
No, they were held in, a few of them were held in detention for a little while, awaiting the court dates, but that's it.
And then, what, that's it?
Yeah.
Were they all underage, or what was it? Like,
some of them were not under.
so 18,
Yeah.
18.
16, 15, yeah. So a lot of them were not underage too. Now, the attorney for a few of the perpetrators even argued the decision to even refer the boys to a juvenile detention center is excessive. Why do they have to be detained while they're waiting? The attorney is asked, excessive? Yes, if the victim was really R-worded, would she have kept coming back to Miryang for a year? A lot of legal experts said, this is just not normal. I mean, even for how messed up the justice system can be, this is abnormal. The words that the judges even use are just extremely unusual. The fact that the perpetrators were not charged with any sort of CP-related crime, considering even the production of consensual adult explicit videos in South Korea is illegal. But instead, the judge working on the case said, the boys are addicted to watching violent, explicit videos online. That's the problem. The problem does not lie within the boys. It lies within the fact that these videos are available to be seen. That's why Korea has banned these videos. That's why they committed these crimes. They were inspired and decided to act upon the videos they saw, stating that they are just immature minors with the possibility of rehabilitation. Additionally, on the court documents, the judge stated that they were going to be lenient on the perpetrators, considering that they have futures to consider, and the victim has since recovered from the shock and is doing well and living a peaceful life at school. Interestingly, the judge does not state where they learned this information. There is no source for such statements because the victim is not doing well. Anyone who knows the victim would agree they are not doing well. Who said that? Where did the judge get that information? Did the judge just make it up out of thin air? And does it even matter considering how vile and dangerous the perpetrators are? there was a question of, truly, who claimed the victim was doing well? There would have been no one, not the counseling centers that assisted the victim, not the medical staff, not the doctors, not the mother. Nobody would have said the victim is doing well, not a single person. Hannah even testified in court against the perpetrators briefly. She was made to state what she already stated to the police and dozens of times to different investigators. And it would be very clear in that moment that she is not okay. She is not doing well. But the judges used this to let all 44 boys go with no punishment. Later, Hannah's dad was interviewed about his decision to settle with some of the perpetrators because it is believed that that also had an impact on the judge's decision. It's basically saying, yeah, okay, she doesn't forgive all 44, but she forgives some of them. He's asked, but as the victim's father, shouldn't you be unable to forgive the perpetrators? What did you even use the settlement money for? The total amount I received was $35,000, which is nothing. Okay, first of all, I used about $18,000 to lease a house. $4,000 I loaned to my brother-in-law. I gave about $12,000 to my younger sister and about $1,000 to help get a room for my brother-in-law. So he blew it all on nothing, really. And Hannah didn't get a cent, not a single penny. Do you regret settling? I do regret it a bit, yeah. In what way do you regret it? Well, people around me criticize me because I accepted so little money.
What?
His only regret?
Is he didn't ask for more?
Yeah. At this point, after all 44 get out with no punishment, they're free to be. Hannah has to move out of her hometown. She moves to Seoul with her mom and her sister, and she's looking for a new school to take her. None of the schools want her. That just gives you an idea how victims of SA were treated back in 2004, which honestly, that's very recent. Nobody wanted her. They just didn't want that attention. Schools are very different from the United States. In South Korea, a school's reputation is very important. It's almost like a private school. Every public school kind of behaves like a private school. They don't want problematic news. They don't want any attention surrounding their school that is not about their academic wordness.
Yeah.
And so nobody was accepting her to the point where she had an activist attorney who was taking on the case pro bono. He had to go into schools and fight them. He'd be like, are you crazy? Like, this girl needs teachers. What are you doing? Hannah said, I used to be class president at my school, which in Korea, you have to be like at the top of your class in terms of grades to be class president. It's not just the popular vote. She said, I used to be class president at school, and even afterwards, I just really wanted to work really hard, but it didn't end up working out. She finally gets transferred into a new school in Seoul, but because one of the perpetrators' mom shows up at this new school, chasing her around the hallways of this school, shoving a paper in her face, trying to get her to sign another leniency paper. So this is, I guess, before the perpetrators got off with no punishment. Hannah was so scared she ran directly to the bathroom, locked herself in the stall, and the mom was just following her, banging on the door, demanding she sign this letter. And from that point forward, everybody knew who she was. Hannah said she couldn't focus in school. I mean, after that, in less than a week, she stopped going to school and she dropped out. One of Hannah's teachers wrote on an online forum later, we had a new transfer student in the middle school that I worked for. The transfer student was the Miryang case victim. I heard the victim's mother crying in the administrator's rooms about how she has no education, no money, and she just needs her daughter to be okay. I felt so sorry for the child when I heard her mother cry. She had to settle with the perpetrators in shame because they needed money, and even though it must have been even more humiliating and painful. I taught her for a little bit of the semester, and I talked to her. There were conversations I saw online, nasty rumors that she had seduced the boys first, and I can assure you, she did not. I never even got to see her smile once. She just always had this very dark look on her face, and her mother was constantly shaking and sobbing every time I saw her. If watching her makes me this angry, how must they feel? It just really hurts my heart. Those who SA minors should never be forgiven. Hannah and her family were able to sue the police department and the government for violation of her human rights. The trial for that lasted 4 years, further traumatizing the victims. They were ultimately awarded $40,000 in the end.
That's
which
it.
is nothing. But it would be the first ever time the courts would recognize a violation of human rights by public authority against an SA victim. So I guess the silver lining is it really did open the door for more people to hold authority to a standard. But
Can you say that one more time? It was the first what?
it was the first time ever the courts recognized a violation of human rights by public authority, so by the government, by police officials.
This is the first time they say, oh, police can fuck up too.
Yes.
Like the first time they admit fault.
And can violate human rights against an SA victim. So they paid the family $40,000. And I would say the only silver lining to that really is that it did open the door, they say. A lot of legal professionals said it was a landmark case in terms of at least opening the door to that, because it's the first time is always the hardest time. But still, it's just crazy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, in 2014, a movie titled Han-Gong-ju is released in South Korea. Now, interestingly enough, it's an independent film with a very low budget, no famous directors, no famous actors involved, without much marketing, and the movie manages to screen in over 200 theaters nationwide, which is a big deal. It went on to become one of the most successful independent films, which is very difficult. The film itself has a very tragic ending, but everyone walks out of that theater in 2014 almost comforting themselves.
It was based on this case?
And they're comforting themselves. Well, I'm sure in the real life case, she's doing okay, right? And we haven't heard any news that she passed, right? There would be news if she passed in real life. So I'm sure she's fine. Yeah. Initially, everyone went to this movie to get closure on this case that had the whole nation angry for the past decade and riled up. But in the end, the closure was depressing. The movie's end is just depressing. So everyone would post online, I'm sure the real victim is healed and is moving on, right? That's all we can hope for and pray for. That's not what was happening. Hannah says she has not lived a day without medication because it is impossible. She and her sister were unable to graduate high school. They have been through psychiatric treatment since 2004. For the past 20 years, they cannot stop medicating. Hannah says she feels, quote, I still feel like my life has stopped in 2004. Hannah used to be class president, but now she has been diagnosed with an intellectual disability in 2019 from the excessive trauma. The diagnosis is considered, quote, severe disability levels. She hasn't been able to hold down a job. She really only is able to get part-time jobs doing manual labor here and there. Unlike Hannah, though, the perpetrators are living well. People who know the perpetrators personally would post online, and there would be another rounds. Like randomly, there would be rounds online of people saying, I saw the perpetrators. I'm from Miryang. I know these perpetrators. One post said that they're still hanging out from time to time in Miryang. They all gather in their hometown. Now, obviously, not all 44 of them, but there's still of them that are still friends. They hang out and they talk about what happened to Hannah as if it's a memory, as if it's like wild fraternity hazing days. Like, remember when we were kids and we were wild back then? Oh, now we're not as wild because we got families. Then, June 2nd, 2024, Hannah's younger brother is spending time with his older sister. So they do have a younger brother, but he was living with their dad at one point. And he mentions, hesitantly, YouTube is in chaos right now. What?
YouTube?
YouTube is in chaos right now. Why? Personal information of the perpetrators is being disclosed, including their faces. They're being exposed. It all starts June 1st, 2024, when a YouTuber by the name of Narak Bogonso, or Hell Storage, uploads a video that I was talking about. Pakibam, did you think that I wouldn't find you? The YouTuber exposes one of the main 44 in the Miryang case. Now, side note, the original poster even asks a question of, all the perpetrators say, if you show me leniency, judge, I will live my life volunteering and helping those in need. The judge has showed leniency, and it's been 20 years. So let's see. Did the perpetrators spend their lives volunteering, reflecting, and helping those in need? Let's show the proof. Side note, and even more unbelievable, up until recently, Hannah and her sister had been avoiding all media about their case, and they thought that most of the perpetrators were at least punished to some degree. They read on the case files that they were referred to the juvenile division, which meant they were taken to juvenile court. Mm-hmm. But it says juvenile department, which they thought meant juvenile detention.
Like prison.
Yeah. They didn't know that all of them walked free. Not a single one of them received a criminal record. They didn't know. Nobody told them. The police didn't tell them. The judges didn't tell them.
So they didn't know anything about what happened to them.
They just did not want to look at anything about this case.
Oh my god.
And they found out through...
Recent
YouTube.
All of this coming back out again.
Wow.
The victim said, I thought referral to juvenile department meant detention in juvenile center, and I thought at least they could be punished for their crimes in that way. Now they are going through some of the court documents again, and they read these words nonstop. No right of prosecution, lack of victim testimony. So the no right of prosecution means that she did not actively want to press charges, basically. And the lack of victim testimony, they don't understand what that means. She was forced to testify over and over and over and over again. Hannah says after 20 years, she just wants to know the truth now. What does that mean? She wants to know the truth about the investigation.